Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Ketubot. We are up to Perik Zayin, Mishnah Tet. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilun Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Ranbai, Eliyahu ben Burcha, Israelo ben Chana bad Miriam, Menuchatam began Eden, Amen, and Avdi ben Chaim lechaim for the Refuah Shelema of Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, Betok Shah Chulei Israel. This Mishnah discusses whether or not a man's bodily defects are grounds for divorce. Ha'ish shenodul bo mumin, if a man developed physical defects after he married, and kofin oto lotzi, we do not force him to divorce his wife even if she wishes to leave him. Usually, if something arises in a marriage that most wives would find intolerable, she can insist upon a divorce. This Tana, however, holds that a husband's physical defects do not rise to that level because it is assumed that his wife will eventually come to terms with them. It goes without saying that if he already had a defect before they married, we do not force him to divorce her since she was aware of it and decided to marry him anyways. Amar Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel said, B'mei dvarim amurim, in what cases does this ruling apply? B'mumin aktanim, in the case of small defects. Aval b'mumin agidolim, but in the case of large defects such as becoming blind in one eye, losing a hand, or breaking a leg, we do force him to divorce her if she wants, because such defects make it difficult for her to live with them. Now, although the defects developed after they were married, she can still demand a divorce, and this Mishnah is not comparable to the previous one, which differentiated between defects that developed after the betrothal and those that developed earlier. In that Mishnah, where the question was whether the husband must pay the ketubah, it makes a difference when the defects developed, because defects that developed after the betrothal resulted from his misfortune and do not free him from his obligation to pay. In our Mishnah, however, where the question is whether the wife can insist upon a divorce, it makes no difference when his defects develop, because the fact is that she finds them intolerable and cannot continue living with him. And the Rav does tell us, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, the Alchat does not follow the opinion of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, even in the case of large defects, and kofinoto leotzi, we do not force him to divorce her if she wants. And that is in a Mishnah Tet. Now again, in Mishnah Tet, Tanaim disagreed whether a wife can demand a divorce if large defects develop in her husband. Mishnah Yud now lists some conditions that are so repugnant, so intolerable that everyone considers them grounds for divorce. These husbands can be forced to divorce their wives and they must pay the ketubah because they are impossible to live with. Mukeh shchin e mitzorah. Now in the Torah, in Sefer Vayikra chapter 13, mitzorah refers to one who is afflicted with a certain type of skin disease, but in this context it may be a general term that includes a broad range of diseases, the commentaries point out. So mukeh shchin, a mitzorah, ubal polypus, one who has a repugnant smell, vam kametz, one who collects dog manure. Now dog manure was used in the process of tanning, converting animal hide to leather, and the hide is soaked in a solution that contains animal manure. Vam tzaref nechoshet, one who mines copper, meaning it develops a bad odor, the Rav explains. Vabulsi, and a tanner. Now the tanning process involves working with manure, the smell of which sticks to the workers. Ben shayu bam ad shel nisu, their wives can demand a divorce whether these conditions existed in their husbands before they married, uben mishenisu noldu, or whether it developed after they married. Vad kulan amar Rabbi Meir, concerning all of these cases, Rabbi Meir said, afal pi sheitna imah, even if he had stipulated with her that she is marrying him in spite of his condition, she can later say, I had thought that I would be able to tolerate it, but now I see that I cannot tolerate it. Therefore, even though she had originally agreed to the stipulation, she can demand a divorce. But the sages say, if she knew about the condition and married her husband anyway, she must accept it even against her will, except for the mitzorah, who must divorce his wife even if they both wish to remain together, because by cohabiting with him, she causes his flesh to decay. Since married life is dangerous to his health, we do not allow them to stay together. Even if the husband wants to remain married, he is forbidden to do so because the Torah prohibits a person to harm himself. Now the Mishnah relates a story about a Yavama, the widow of a man who died without children, who must marry her Yavam, her husband's brother, unless he releases her through the procedure of Chalitza. Maaseh b'Tzidon, it once happened in the city of Tzidon, beBusi echad shemed, that a tanner died without children, vayalo ach Busi, and he had a brother who was also a tanner. Amu Chachamim, the sages there said that she does not need to marry him, even though her first husband was also a tanner. Because she can say, I was able to tolerate this condition in your brother, but I cannot tolerate it in you. Now Yavam can marry the Yavama even against her will. However, if the Yavama has a reasonable objection to the marriage, the court forces the Yavam to release her through Chalitza, as Rashi explains in Masechet Yevamot, page 39b. The Rav does tell us that in the machlokim between Rav Netanel and Chachamim, the Halacha follows the Chachamim. So, to recap, even if she knew about the condition and married her husband anyway, she must accept it even against her will, except for the Mitzorah, who must divorce his wife even if they both wish to remain together, because by cohabiting with them, sleeping with them, having relations with them, she causes his flesh to decay. The Halakha follows the Chachamim in that machlok between them and Rabbi Meir. And that is in Abotai today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody should have a Erev Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.